welcome to the May 28th edition of One Nation Radio on Lords of Pain, the final episode of One Nation Radio here on this network. James, what's going on, man?
I think we picked the right week for this to be in, or I think it just turned out to be fortuitous that, you know, it's the end of the RSS feeds or whatever else, and for Blog Talk, and it's time for us to move on and do something else with our lives. At least for after, or something else with our time while trying to watch these shows, or if we're ever going to watch these shows again. But yeah, I've rambled on and on enough. Fuck it, here goes nothing.
I fucking hated these shows. I wanted them to die. These fuckers came out here and they put on a wrestling show without actual wrestling on it for 75 minutes to start the show. But Rich, there was a Shane McMahon match. Who gives a fuck? It went 1 minute against a jobber. These people, forever, we've always heard, oh yeah, there's some competition out there. Vince will step their game up. I'm throwing that line away forever. These fuckers clearly don't care about impressing people, about putting together shows worth a damn, worth our time, worth your time, for those of you that are listening to this. This entire thing has been the slow destruction of Monday Night Raw in the main roster in large. Vince McMahon can go to hell. Shane McMahon can go to hell. Stephanie McMahon can go to hell. Whoever's booking this, she catching strays right now.
That's okay.
She catching strays right now. If you're bending over backwards to defend this shit, you can go to hell. There's no excuse for what they put on TV on Monday. Just absolutely horrible, up and down the whole show. Then they try to get their little we'll get to it later, but fresh off of Double or Nothing, one of the great pay-per-views of recent memory, and this is what these fuckers decide to bring to the table.
Is it my turn, or
sure thing? Feel free to jump in at any time.
All right, so I don't think they really much care about AEW, and apparently at least not yet. I wasn't looking for them to go out there and reinvent the wheel, because AEW went out there and had a great show. But I would expect them, being 2 weeks out from a pay-per-view, to try to make me give half of a damn about this pay-per-view. They did no such thing. So, yeah, pay-per-view in, was that Friday next week? Something like that?
Yeah.
Because June 8th? Yeah. So we have a pay-per-view in, less than 2 weeks, and I mean, I may watch it, I may not. I wasn't a person that didn't watch Crown Jewel because of the controversy. In the controversy meaning someone being executed by the government. But I think people trivialize stuff as just a controversy. I'm like, nah, there's levels. So that didn't keep me from watching that show. But this one is just a lot left to be desired. A lot left. And you mentioned that I think in the first 2 hours of the show, it was like 25 minutes of wrestling.
In the first 75 minutes, there was 0 minutes of wrestling, or 1 minute of wrestling.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, you look at aggressively how bad this show was, and keep in mind, like, I missed out on it because I actually missed the first. I probably came in right when Shane was cutting a promo, and then he's going to wrestle a person that may or may not be actually be related to Roman. I don't know. So then, next thing you know, like, the match went 2 minutes, and I remember, was I tuned in? You'd said, like, there hasn't been any wrestling yet. I was like, bro, it's like 8:54. What do you mean there's been no wrestling? And wow, All right.
This was a full WCW year 2000 Kevin Nash has control of the book show. That's exactly what this was. They played these long-ass video packages with Triple H and Randy Orton that they keep playing over and over that are 6 and 7 minutes long. They have, like, a beatdown that doesn't mean a fucking thing. They have Lesnar and out there with Rollins and Kofi looking like subservient bitches begging to get cashed in on.
Yeah. Like, the video package in a vacuum isn't the problem. It's the same thing when we talk about critiques of certain shows. It's like, it's not a problem about one match being mediocre or whatever. It's about like the accumulation of them or the cluster of them in a row that just kill your enthusiasm and your attention span. So like WrestleMania, if you just grade it individually, like, it's a much better show than if you had to watch it and go through the slog of like the last 2.5 hours. So yeah, let's just get into it. This is a hell of a way to go out.
Yeah,
hell of a way to go out.
I wish they gave us something to celebrate, because this is supposed to be a joyous occasion celebrating the end of our run here on LOP, but they fucking upset me. They pissed me off. So you guys are going to get this review, and I'm going to punish these fuckers on this review to end this. And so before the show got started, they were advertising a fatal 4-way elimination match between Braun Strowman, AJ Styles, The Miz, and Bobby Lashley. Never mind that they had already advertised Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley, so you had, like, obviously no clue. Like, there was no reason for them to be in the match. But, we get onto the show, and then they announce AJ Styles is injured, and then he's replaced by Baron Corbin. Boy.
Well, Rich, I think the thing is that they had to advertise that match in much a similar fashion to how we complain as American fans about how New Japan doesn't announce matches ahead of time. They needed something to get the good people of Saudi Arabia excited. So they decided that we need to go ahead and get out in front and do Strowman versus Lashley. And that'll put butts in Middle Eastern seats. Sure.
I'm sure. I wonder how much those Saudi tickets go for. I bet you could get one for about $5.
No. The whole joke is that it's already a paid show, so they don't need to advertise the damn thing. That's the real joke. It's like, that doesn't hold.
So they started the show with a video for Memorial Day, paying tribute to fallen soldiers. Then they showed Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman backstage, and they've run the joke into the ground already. Brock Lesnar comes out with an all-time terrible T-shirt on that says Brock Party. Apparently he comes out, or Kofi Kingston comes out to start the show. They talked about how Ziggler jumped him on SmackDown. Crowd was into Kofi. This crowd wanted to like the show off rip. They were hot, and then WWE decided to give bare minimal effort. Feel so bad for those fans in Kansas City that showed up wanting to be into the show, and this is what WWE gave them in return. So Kofi said Ziggler tried to end him, but he didn't finish the job. He's still standing tall. He would address Ziggler when the time's right, but tonight he's here for Brock Lesnar. Kofi then reiterated his speech that he's been given the last couple of weeks. He wants to be one of the greatest champions of all time, and he can do that by beating Brock Lesnar. He told Brock to cash it in tonight. Then Seth Rollins came out. He said, "I know I'm not Brock Lesnar. I'm better." Rollins didn't want to wait and told Lesnar to bring his ass out there. All of a sudden, Brock's music hit, and then his music kind of fell off, and it sounded like some Daddy Yankee music playing in the background or something. I don't know what the fuck Brock was doing. This man was he came out with a hoodie on. He basically put speakers in the briefcase and was dancing. This shit was hilarious, but yeah, everyone was still like, what the fuck is this? And then he gets in the ring and starts dancing in front of Kofi Kingston, and then the songs kept changing over and over, and then Paul Heyman is in the background thinking he's Hiroshi Tanahashi, trying to shred like Slash and an air guitar whatnot. And Seth Rollins looks disgusted. He basically walks the fuck out. Kofi wants to fight, and basically said, fuck all this. Seth Rollins ruined it, so we're leaving too. And
so like I said, I did not watch the first hour of Raw, or the first 55 minutes of Raw. So, he came out dancing.
Yes.
Playing different songs, and he's out here cutting rug.
Yes.
Brock Lesnar cutting rug. Okay, on one end that sounds funny. On another end, I could see. How long did this segment go?
This shit went. I want to say it went at least 10 minutes, because then you got to the beatdown after, and then the beatdown took you to the commercial break.
Who got beat down? Are you going to get into that?
Yes, I'm gonna get into that.
Oh, sorry.
So
yeah, but 10 minutes ain't that bad for a Raw, because normally them joints go like 15 minutes.
Right. So then Dolph Ziggler ran in once Rollins left, and Brock left, and he jumped on Kofi, and there was a lot of physicality. He ended up giving him a zigzag on the steel edge of the ramp. Ziggler went to get a chair, but Xavier Woods ran in to make the save, and basically Ziggler left through the crowd. He had like blood on his face, kind of. It was like like a scratch type feel. So they go to commercial, come back.
Was anybody scared that Brock was going to come back out and cash in?
No, not in the least.
No. Okay.
So after that, Woods was helping Kingston to the back. This is when they come back from commercial. So mind you, we're like, oh, it's like 8:20 something by this point. And then Ziggler literally runs up the ramp and attacks Xavier Woods. These two fight back and forth for a while. Woods basically sends him into the crowd and then threw a garbage can at him. And they went back to ringside, and then Ziggler kicked his leg out of his leg. And Ziggler threw him into the steel steps. He grabbed a chair and hit him with it a couple times in his back. Ziggler was fucking Woods up. He was choking him with the edge of the chair. He wrapped the chair around his head like he was going to Pillmanize his head. But then Kofi ran down to save his friend. He had his own chair, and Ziggler ran through the crowd like a hoe. And Ziggler had that blood on his face.
Okay, so So my question for you is, you said Kofi came out first to start the show. Keep in mind, like last time we saw him on SmackDown, he got Pillmanized, and then he got stretcher jobbed, and then he got off under his own feet and walked away. What happened when he walked out on Monday?
He was throwing pancakes.
All right, continue.
Then,
you know why I asked, right? Because you remember what happened at Survivor Series. I was like, is he gonna come bring his ass out there and it's a regular, butter scratch? It was butter scratch on some real Romeo and Juliet shit. So apparently, yeah.
So they went to commercial again, and then Ziggler came to the stage after that to tell Kofi that he's been spending too much time focused on Brock. Ziggler said that Kingston is defending the title against him in Saudi Arabia. He said it should have been him as the champion since day one. He's had two friends defending him. When people called Kofi a B-plus player, Ziggler defended him because he knew he was good enough to be champion. Ziggler continued other, various bullshit and repeated that it should have been him to win the title at WrestleMania, but at Super Showdown, it will be me. Then Ziggler left and the crowd chanted for Kofi.
It will be me.
It will be me. And by this point, the show was 32 minutes and had went through 2 commercial breaks.
Why does some of this stuff you're saying about the things Ziggler is saying sounds like some dirty macking? Like, you chose wrong. You chose the wrong dude. You should have been here with me this whole time. Like, boy, you real lame.
Like Drake.
Real lame.
So after that, they showed in the parking lot, the Usos set up a Geek Memorial Day parade party with all the jobbers and a bunch of random people. They were wishing Natalya happy birthday. EC3 was sitting there in his entire ring gear. Man looked miserable, and everyone was partying. The Usos said everyone was invited except the Revival.
Was it the same block party that I saw where Tamina and Naomi went face to face and squashed whatever beef I was supposed to remember that they had, even though we're not supposed to remember what happened 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay, so you're telling me that EC3 was there in gear?
Yes, in full gear.
In draws.
In draws, if memory serves correct.
Oh my god.
So, backstage, Shane McMahon was there, and he told Charlie Caruso that he's going to beat down Roman at Super Showdown just like he would his opponent tonight. Then Shane's music hit, and him and Drew McIntyre's soulless behind came out. They changed their mind and went to the back, and then after a commercial break, they were standing in the ring with Shane music playing. Then we got the long ass Triple H versus Randy Orton video package, and then Shane and McIntyre were just in the ring waiting. Essentially, it's probably about 8:40 by this time now. So Shane, he says the McMahon family and the Samoan dynasty have got along for a long time. Long before he and Reigns were around, there's always been respect between them, and that respect was ingrained in him as a child, but that respect was not ingrained in Reigns, who knocked out his father, Vince McMahon. Shane basically started talking about all the Samoan wrestlers, Petey Maivia, The Rock, Yokozuna, the Usos, and the Wild Samoans.
But Rich, Yokozuna is Japanese. He's a sumo.
Correct.
So Rich, so you heard me on, was it Friday, going to rant because of how they basically just treat the ethnicity of like Pacific Islanders just like it could be anything. It could be anyone. Yeah, they could be. They are basically like what's your boy from Key and Peele's name? What's Key's full name? Michael Keegan Key?
Yeah, Keegan Michael Key or something like that.
Yeah, like he plays any ethnicity. Like apparently so do like Pacific Islanders. So like Yokozuna's Japanese. Camacho, they had him playing a Mexican. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this company when it comes to whatever.
I hate this company so much. I hate them.
Whatever. I mean, look, man. I ended up going in Googled around in Tonga, where Tangelo is actually the island he's actually from. You know, is actually closer to Antarctica than motherfucking Mexico. So, whatever. Like, so whatever. Like, sure. Yokozuna, sure. So whatever.
They talked about Sika being the father of Roman Reigns. Crowd was pissed. There still was no wrestling. They were chanting, "This is boring." They were chanting AEW.
Heard that.
And basically Shane said another Samoan would be his opponent tonight. Then they went to break. It was 47 minutes into the show. Still no matches. We come back and Shane is sweating like a slave. And he's sweating, just standing there with Charlie. And they basically bring out a dude named Lance Anoa'i. This guy's actually been doing stuff in MLW. He is one of Reigns' cousins.
Okay.
And I think he had a WWE trial recently, but a lot of people are high on him. Like,
is he the one that does moonsaults?
No,
that wrestles barefoot.
That's Jacob Fatu.
Okay. But
right. People say this guy's good too. So, so basically, what they do is immediately kill him dead. So in a minute and 32 seconds, Drew McIntyre kicks his ass before the match, and then Shane starts it, and it starts about 52 minutes into the show. Shane's sorry ass punches that couldn't bust a grape. Tried to connect. Crowd was chanting AEW, and this is awful. Lance tried to come back, tried to hit a super kick, but Shane hit him with a Judas effect from Chris Jericho. And then he submitted this man with his MMA triangle choke, which wouldn't submit a white belt. After that, Shane applied the move again. Mind you, keep in mind, of real time, they had been beating this man's ass for about 5 minutes. And he said he would do the same thing to Sika if he was there. He said the biggest mistake that Sika ever made was spawning Roman. And then finally, Roman Reigns gets the production truck to cue up his music, and he brings his country ass out there. And then he gives McIntyre a Superman punch. Made him look like a fucking geek, by the way. Drew McIntyre, he is a fucking geek. I don't care what anyone says. He is a geek. Shane tried. They never have any confidence in him to actually do anything himself. He's always someone's goon or their lackey, and they fucking cool him down for months at a time. Andrade is so much better than him. McIntyre. Then he pulled Shane away before Reigns could give him the spear, and then they cut to the back, and Shane and McIntyre were jumping up out of there. So to start the second hour.
Hold on. So, I think the main takeaway for this, as far as like Vince McMahon has no idea how human interactions work. So this wasn't after the match. I'm sorry. The Samoan Joe, Roman Reigns, checks in on one of his cousins, and so that was to confirm that they were actually related. This wasn't a fake Samoan or whatever else. So if they were actually related, why would he sit in the back when McIntyre attacked him and ran him into apron to barricade to apron to barricade to apron to barricade, apron barricade over and over and over again before the bell even rung, and then waited while he sat in a choke after that the whole time? Why didn't he come out immediately?
Because this company has no idea how to book. Because they literally have to have Roman Reigns get his music played so you can get the Pavlovian response of either cheers or boos to make his big save, rather than just him coming through looking like a fucking madman, like, and making it feel somewhat legit.
Did Roman have a match later in the show?
No, this is the only time we saw him.
So all they had to do was either say that Roman was not there, right? Wild card, bitches. He ain't there. He ain't supposed to be there, right? Unless it's announced he's a wild card. Or you say that security has escorted him off the premises, and then you do this, and then he just shows up anyway and makes a save for his cousin. All that takes is 15 seconds of thinking, right? I just came up with that, right?
My God. Yeah. So after that, the second hour started the same as the first. We got Seth Rollins out, Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman out again. There was a referee in the ring, and then Heyman said it was time for Lesnar to make his decision. The crowd was silent. Seth Rollins came out looking like an angry 8th grader, and he said the title was his life, James. His whole life was the belt.
We'll just wait till the end of the show when he goes out here before he hits the finish. He's like, "This is my life. This is my life." I was like, okay.
Because Seth Rollins being any cornier.
It wasn't that it was a bad line. It's just we're going to get a "This Is My Life" t-shirt, aren't we?
My God. I hope
aren't
not.
we?
I hope not.
I mean, I can imagine it.
Look, they come out with the "This Is My Life" shirt, and I will burn it down. So, Brock was mocking Rollins and told him to shut his mouth, or Rollins told him to shut his mouth. Lesnar was still filled with glee, and he told that Rollins the briefcase was a beast box, bitch, off the mic, kind of. And Rollins, he said, "I did at WrestleMania, I'll stomp your head in again." Lesnar stopped joking at that point. Rollins said that Lesnar used to be the most feared guy in the business, but now he's just a coward hiding behind Paul Heyman. Heyman then began reading off the clauses of the contract to the ref about cashing in, and when he got to the part about the contract winner having a year to cash in, Brock grabbed the contract and smacked Heyman in the face with it. He yelled at Heyman because he didn't know he had a year, because remember, Brock Lesnar doesn't watch the show. Like, yes. I'm about to not watch this show next week.
This is one of the great carryover details of a character in a long time. Brock Lesnar does not watch the show. He has not been watching it since since the build towards WrestleMania 34, where he said, I don't watch the show. So he didn't even know the rules of a fucking Money in the Bank and how that whole thing works, because he doesn't know that he has a full year. He thought that he thought it was a lot less time on the shot clock, to use a phrase. So he's like, all right, I'm out of here. Fuck this. This
would work a lot better if he hadn't lost the title on a Money in the Bank cash-in before, but whatever.
He probably is like, look, I've never had this shit, so I don't know how that shit work. I normally am out here wrestling The Undertaker, or I'm getting title shots. I'm Brock Lesnar. I don't need to win Money in the Bank. I get title shots. They're given to me because I kick people's ass.
So Seth had took his shirt off. He wanted to cash in to be now, but Lesnar laughed at him, said "screw you," and left, which was kind of like a microcosm of Vince McMahon saying to the audience, "Screw us." Crowd was basically like, showing around like there was something happening in the crowd, but instead it was R-Truth running his country ass in there, and Carmelo was on his back. Of course, the Geek Brigade was chasing him, the likes of Drake Maverick, Carl Anderson, who has a countdown clock to AEW, Luke Gallows, ditto, EC3, who's just furious, Eric Young, and Cedric Alexander, who has been banished to the goddamn prelims ever since the first week on Raw. They got away. Renee Young loves the 24/7 belt. Then Charlie Caruso was with AJ Styles in the trainer's room. She basically had said that he was supposed to compete in the number one contenders match, but he had been replaced by Baron Corbin. Styles then admitted he was too hurt to compete. He wanted to go, but he couldn't. Styles then began explaining his injury when Corbin suddenly appeared and smacked AJ Styles. Then a trainer came in and Corbin left.
And then Charlie decided to go back to look at the responses on Instagram.
Yes. Then we got our actual first match, and what a horrible match it was.
No, that was the second match.
I'm not counting that shit. That wasn't wrestling.
That wasn't. If that ain't what you call wrestling, then it must be bungee jumping.
Yeah.
The bell rang. They were fighting inside of a ring, and then someone won, and then the bell rang again. Sounds like a wrestling match.
Sounds like trash. What happened?
It was
on
a trash wrestling match, but it was still a wrestling match.
I'm not counting that
facts.
shit. Yeah, I'm not counting that shit. So 75 minutes into the show, we actually got a legitimate match between competitors.
Wait. So what you're telling me is WWE the main roster has pissed you off so much that you are now beyond, like, you don't even want to. You are now questioning what is actually a wrestling match now. Like,
yes.
All right, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So we got our first legitimate wrestling match of the evening. Becky Lynch was forced to, tag up with Nikki Cross and take on the tag team champions who have not won a fucking match since WrestleMania.
Is that true?
Yes, except their fucking squash match, which is not an actual match.
This man's still up here talking about matches ain't matches. Oh my god! So, yeah, they squashed those chicks, those two jobbers in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, these people they literally pulled off the street. We don't even know if they have wrestling licenses, James.
Wrestling licenses.
Fuck. And anyway, any other fucking match the Iconics have competed in since then, they have been looking up at the fucking lights like fucking geeks, or stuck on the commentary table because they don't trust them to have matches. And why don't they trust them to have matches? Because of shit like this in this match. My god. Fuck this show.
Oh my god. You gonna give us a run through of the match?
Sure. So, Nikki basically got her ass beat for most of the match with the Iconics' terrible offense. Then Becky Lynch essentially got a hot tag and, tried to run wild and save this thing. The crowd was really into Becky Lynch because why? Becky Lynch is a star, but unfortunately, when you put stars around the doo-doo may rub off on them. So, Becky goes for her pump handle slam kind of rock bottom looking move that is called the manhandle slam. And what happens is, I don't know if you've seen the gifs that have been going around Twitter, like Becky doesn't lock her hands in properly and it looks more like a rock bottom, which is not supposed to be. It's actually supposed to be like a pump handle joint through her legs. If you remember the Evolution match against Charlotte, it was that slam she did in there she was going for, but
I've seen the move. I know exactly what you're talking about. I watched the match. She's done that before, but I didn't know that was. I saw she won with it, but it's like
it was all botched.
Really finish.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like it more if she used the back exploder, but whatever.
Yeah, and she ended up getting the pin on Peyton Royce because she was, shouting out double or nothing or whatever. So,
well, maybe. But I will say, while watching her comeback, Becky's hot tag did, like, Peyton was in the ring when it was happening. I was like, notice how, like, Peyton is actually close enough to where she'd have to yell, "Come closer," as opposed to like Billy, who was out to lunch last week.
I don't even know. Like they murdered these belts. These belts are a joke. Abolish them. Throw them in the trash. Throw them in the river. I don't give a fuck. After that, they showed Lacey Evans coming out to her music. She brought her country ass out there, and she looked at Becky Lynch, and she left. And Nikki Cross kind of took a side eye at the title, but she was celebrating with Becky. Back at the block party, and Tamina showed up, and her and Naomi went face to face. But then they looked at each other like cousin, essentially, and then they settled whatever random beef there was. I guess this was Tamina not being a heel anymore, so the Usos were happy to then do a family reunion. Then the Revival showed up and thanked the Usos for having some class and inviting them. Jimmy and Jay said, "We didn't invite you," and Naomi said she invited them and wanted them to squash their beef, and then they aggressively shook hands. Boy fucking boy. You know what this shit reminded me of? You remember in Raw 25 where they had the poker game going all night with the fucking people, geeks, and just interchangeable shit?
Yeah, like Jeff Hardy and yeah.
That's what this felt like. And they kept cutting back to it and back to it and back to it. So after that, we got a match that should have just opened the show and gone 25 minutes. We got Ricochet versus Cesaro in a 10-minute match.
25 minutes?
Yes. As compared to what the fuck they gave us?
Well, sure, if that's the case, they'll have them wrestle 3 hours. But I mean, like, WWE is not meant for a match to go like 25 minutes unless it's like a main event match at WrestleMania or some shit, or a pay-per-view.
You know how many 25-minute matches on Raw I had to sit through between Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler last year?
25 minutes? Yes. Not 20, not 15?
Yes. That ended in a disqualification or some dumb shit. Like,
well, the way that you sound makes, the way that you sound, like the way that you feel bitter about having to watch those matches is the reason kind of why I say WWE's not built to have matches go that long. That's what I'm getting at.
So they do a match, and this is a really good TV match, actually, and the finish was just like, Ricochet did like some Sonya Blade type shit. Like, it was nuts. Like, man, came from outside the ring and flipped up and then rolled into a victory roll, but they did a bunch of cool shit in the match. There was a part where Cesaro destroyed Ricochet with an uppercut. There was...
Yes, he was basically like 5 feet from the corner, and he comes charging and hits that running European uppercut, and it lifts Ricochet off his feet and sends him crashing into the turnbuckle in the corner. It was awesome.
Yeah. So this match actually like made me not want to punch a wall like the rest of the show, and I was actually happy to see it. But then I saw it was what time it was happening. I was like, oh, it's happening at 9:30. So this is the bottom of the hour geek match, and I heard this is later cut out of the Hulu version of Raw. So apparently these fuckers would submit the show and decide Ricochet and Cesaro doesn't need to be on there. No need for that to actually populate the 90 minutes version.
Yeah, and how we talked about earlier in the show about how things cluster, and so in a vacuum things are fine. But when you watch the show, you just experience it as being just, problematic. So both of those matches went like 10 minutes apiece. The tag match with Becky and the Ricochet match, both of them went back to back, and they both went about 10 minutes, and they both had TV commercials right in the middle of them. Both matches had Nikki goes for a dive on the heels, and then they go to commercial break, and then they come back with Nikki in a rest hold. Not even between matches, between the next commercial break, they do Ricochet or during that same when they come back from that commercial break. The next commercial break is Ricochet does a flip dive onto Cesaro. They come back, Cesaro has Ricochet in the rest hold. Like, back-to-back commercial breaks were the same fucking thing.
Yep. And that's why I'm like, I'm disconnecting my brain from this shit. Like, they're just going to ruin all the best wrestlers in the world and make them wrestle the same style and the same homogenized TV match.
Formulaic.
These fuckers I can't wait till Ricochet's contract's up. So on that end, Ricochet ends up getting the victory with the Hurricanrana, kind of like a 1996 Rey Mysterio finish. And Cesaro gets dropped on his neck during this shit and pins him. Crowd was into Ricochet because, like I said, this crowd wanted to like the show. Then the announcers, they said that Rey Mysterio would be on Raw next week to give up the U.S. title, which was actually supposed to happen this week, James.
Did they advertise that?
Yes, they said it would be next week. They would be making a decision about the U.S. title. And they had the graphic in black and white with the U.S. belt.
Wow.
So, apparently they shelved that. So Samoa Joe came out, and Joe heard the good news and said he would be there to take back what is rightfully his. So then they plugged a talk show segment with Sami Zayn called The Electric Chair. Promptly Twitter are lit up with jokes talking about, damn, WWE will do anything for the Saudi money. And they made it look like Sami Zayn was going to be getting the electric chair tonight. So we swing back to the block party. Dash Wilder and Jimmy Uso were playing games of cornhole. Immediately I thought the Usos are probably really good at cornhole in real life, seeing as how they are from Florida. And then Dash Wilder, that doesn't look like his first cornhole game either. So Jimmy then landed the B-bat right in the hole, showing off immaculate technique, and then everyone in the party went nuts. After that, The Miz cut a pre-tape promo saying it was time to earn the Universal title. Nobody believed him. And he announced that him and Maurice were having a baby girl. Everyone cheered. Then Braun Strowman is at gorilla position, just, when the light hit the eye, or excuse me, when he hit the light, he twinkled and glistened like that boy was shining out there. And he cut a absurd promo. He was yelling like a monster, basically threatening Bobby Lashley's life, and Baron Corbin said he was going to destroy him too. And then he just said, Miz, I want to congratulate you on the reveal of your new child, and that standard of verbiage that he was given. And it was just like, I started looking at who was in this match, and I was like, oh, they want this match to suck. Nevertheless, we get a Fatal 4-Way elimination match, which is not actually an elimination match. So, they do a Tower of Doom spot, of course, because they have to do one in every Fatal 4-Way that ever exists anywhere in the world.
Miz in the ring, most of it being the babyface worker. He's the one that's doing most of the work. And I think Miz did this, I want to say, a few months ago, too, and it's he does a surprisingly better job than you would think, but it's still lacking. Then
the match breaks down. Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley literally fight until we can't see them anymore.
Yes, they brawl to the back. They both eliminate each other like they're two monsters at a fucking Royal Rumble.
Or Survivor Series. Double count out. My God. They're basically, it all breaks down. Miz runs up on Corbin. Corbin hits him with the End of Days. And Baron Corbin, the guy who we have buried and gave the LeBron James You Bum of the Week 1,000,000 times to, who we'll probably be talking about later on in the show, the guy who literally got blamed for the ratings collapse in fake life and real life throughout the fall, somehow keeps failing upward, and he is the #1 contender for the Universal title, James. What do you make of this?
Real?
One more time, James? Me? No, I didn't hear you.
White privilege is real. I don't know what else was coming with. Oh, he's tall and he's white. Oh, so he's an NFL quarterback. Okay, great. He's another mediocre NFL quarterback. Great. All right. What do you want me to do with that? He's not a complete waste of space. But he damn sure ain't a main eventer. And it's been evident and it's been clear for now about, we're in year 3 of this, right? With him?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't get a main event match. You can't get a main event quality match out of him unless you have 3 people or more. It's been proven. We've seen this before. So, best of luck. He still comes out and he doesn't get boos. He doesn't get cheered. He comes out to fucking crickets. And they had do the ring announcer gimmick thing where he says he's eliminated or he ended Angle's career, and he's a Golden Glove winner. He's a former GM, and he's filling the blanks. Favorite child of the city or whatever else, and like, nah, man, just no.
Like, we don't want to watch this shit. Like, and it's in Saudi Arabia, so I'm not about to watch this shit. So, look, good thing they're doing it on that show. We don't have to like really deal with that shit in our lives, and there's a low probability of them actually switching the title in Saudi Arabia. So,
could you imagine? Like, it's funny because like the internet discourse this week was, some of y'all expected WWE to have some type of response to AEW, and y'all out here trying to compare Raw to Double or Nothing, knowing the good damn well it's apples. It's not even apples to apples. I was like, okay, that's cool. What's the next pay-per-view?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, what pay-per-view would they like to compare, James? They want to talk about would they want to talk about WrestleMania? Would they want to talk about Money in the Bank? Because them shits don't hold up either.
Either way, it's like, okay, you said that, but like,
I need to go bookmark those tweets, by the way, and then and be prepared to dunk next Friday.
I had one saved. I actually screen capped one, just as like, I'm not really as petty as you, but like, I was like, we'll see. But I just was like, okay, like, you have a point there. However, like, if there's always a chance for it like it be a WWE Evolution type of thing where the pay-per-view is much better than what we expect because the build sucked, or WrestleMania 31, for example. But we'll see, and I'm pretty confident it's going to suck.
Yes.
I don't want it to suck. I don't want to wait. I don't want to have people like shit on WWE. I don't want to like watch shows and
they deserve
and
this.
They're not good, but they, sometimes they aren't. And this is like a show that's not going to be good.
Yeah. This is a choice when they do this shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they choose, like, I always say this to you every time it looks like something's unpromising is on deck. Like, they can always choose to unfuck themselves and book the show to be better than it actually is based off of whatever matchup they have or whatever match layouts they have. They can, like, WWE has so much talent, and even the people that aren't exactly, like, the best people in the company, like, there aren't really any bums, really on the main roster anymore. So, like, you can book up a match in a layout to be able to have a better match than what someone normally does. Like, you can absolutely have, like, that Ricochet and Corbin match from a few weeks ago. You can absolutely have Corbin have that kind of match where he's not stopping on rest holds all the fucking time. And he's in motion, and pretty much constant motion throughout the whole match, and actually have an enjoyable match. They choose not to do that. That's a choice.
Yeah, I feel like there can be, like, much better usage of probably one of the 5 to 10 best wrestlers in the world than having him literally empty the gun to carry Baron Corbin a fucking 3-star match. There's got to be a better use for Ricochet than that. So
one other thing, I mean, I see the stuff he's doing, and I'm like, it's good, but like,
like, Baron Corbin should have walked up to that man immediately after the match backstage and thanked him for the match. Yeah,
it's like that's cool and all, but like, do y'all not watch that Johnny Gargano Ricochet match from NXT from TakeOver Phoenix? Like that's the best match of the year in this company, and they're doing this with him. It's just so funny,
bro. And that's why I've like kind of disconnected on NXT lately, because I know how the movie ends for all these dudes.
Yeah, like, forget the potential or whatever else, because at the end of the day, they're they bring up Bianca Belair or Kairi Sane or Shayna or Johnny or Undisputed or Riddle, and there's so much they have to overcome to actually just get to like, oh yeah, this dude could be a viable mid-carder. Like, the bar to get to viable mid-card in this company is so hard, and it should not be.
And I feel like the more as you go along with NXT Then Now Forever, and I actually had heard like someone kind of make a point like this. It was like, yesterday's NXT was supposed to be today's WWE, essentially, and it hasn't been that. Like, and it's like, like it.
I would say this. I would say the. I mean, honestly, the people that actually became stars out of NXT, the real answer for how many have actually came in this 5 years is like it's really Kevin Owens before they turned back into a mid-carder last year in Charlotte. Outside of that, over these like that since the network, like when it actually became popular, like those are two people. Like they had their shot with Charlotte. I'm sorry, they had their shot with Sasha. They fucked it up. They had their shot with Bayley. They fucked it up. They had their shot with Finn Balor. Finn Balor got hurt, and then he came back, and then they fucked it up. All right, they had their shot with a bunch of people. McIntyre. They definitely had their shot with McIntyre.
Nakamura. Bobby
Nakamura.
Roode.
Yeah, like the whole gender thing where he kept losing and losing and losing, and he gets to WrestleMania, and then they decided to beat him there when he probably should have won. Samoa Joe had his chance. I would say Samoa Joe is more of a success story. That he's more successful than most of the people, but like I don't know if you would necessarily call him a star because he's definitely somebody that is
He
became a nice utility role in this company because he's the best promo in the company, and they use him as a mid-carder, which kind of like that. Not how I was told that Vince McMahon's WWE works. Like, if you're the killer promo, you should be on top because you cut the killer promos. But, whatever. So, yeah, yeah, you're right. It's definitely been definitely a disappointing experience. Like for Andrade, another example of somebody that was just awesome, and then nope, definitely.
Yep.
Ember, Asuka.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of people that we're naming, and, like, especially the women, like, Ember, Asuka, Kyrie, like, these are all 4 of, like, the 10 best women in the company's history as far as, like, match output.
I feel like I haven't seen Kyrie and Asuka since they named them the Kabuki Warriors, and we just haven't seen them again.
Yeah. It's amazing how they just, like, Asuka's just nowhere ever to be seen.
It's almost like there's a show coming up that there are no women on it, and they can't really put them on TV. So, yeah. So, back on the block party. Let's get back to it. Scott Dawson had cheated in the cornhole game, which led to a big argument. R-Truth came through because he was running and running and running like Forrest Gump, and Kalisto tried to roll him up, but Truth kicked out. Anderson tried to pin him, but Truth kicked out. Then all the wrestlers got in a brawl, and then Truth escaped. More Firefly Funhouse shenanigans. Bray Wyatt had a paper plate up to his face with a drawing of a mask on it. Then he was dressed as a doctor, and he diagnosed Abby the Witch as a bully. She said she was sick of being stuck in limbo. The word limbo triggered a game where Bray Wyatt did his spider walk under a bar, and the kids appeared like they didn't care, and Bray said, "Let me in," and it was just like, I don't know what this is. So my takeaway from it is for the people that want to get, want to take it as it's this higher form of art, that the real story here is that Abby is, of course, Sister Abigail, and she is stuck in limbo because either A, Bray Wyatt won't let her move on to the other side and rest in where all the other goats actually go, because he draws power from her, or used to anyway, or whatever, after Orton burnt down that fucking gravesite, whatever. Or 2, it is supposed to be some type of like that kind of thread was always there as something they could use as a character development with him, and they never used it. And now he is basically pointing out that, like, we never did the Sister Abigail thing. Like, we could have did Nikki Cross, we could have used Paige, we could have used Sarah Logan. We never did it. We decided to dress me up in a fucking was it a pumpkin
in that fucking veil deal or whatever else, and I was going to be Sister Abigail my damn self until I caught the mumps. Boy. Or meningitis. Roman caught the mumps. What kind of fucking road trip was that? Because they were, those two were actually like
riding
road tripping together, right?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck were they on? So yeah, yeah. So either way, not good.
Yeah. So, the electric chair segment was up next with Corey Graves and, yes, Sami Zayn. So Corey Graves introduced the segment saying any superstar in the chair will be forced to tell the truth.
Or what?
Yeah, that part wasn't given.
It's not an actual electric chair. It's just not plugged up in anything.
Yeah, I didn't see any wires behind that bitch or nothing. So
he's not strapped in.
So the questions were provided by the fans in the crowd, and these fans look to be legit fans, actually. There's been a lot of fallout from this segment, whether this what happened and it ended up being scripted, whether they were intending to basically lay a trap to basically do something, then that trap not actually come to fruition, and Zayn decided to do it anyway. There's just everything out there on this, but to start, Charlie Caruso found a fan who asked Zayn when his retirement date would be. Then Zayn asked the guy if his mother and father were related, which wouldn't be unreasonable given that they were in Kansas City. What's up to all our Kansas City listeners?
Are you saying that, or did Zayn say that?
Zayn said that.
All right, pronouns, pal. I don't want people to be like, what you got on Kansas City? No, we didn't say that. Sammy said that.
Then a young girl.
Maybe Eddie Griffin won't come out here and fight and want to fight one of us. I'm going to make no problems.
Wow. Or his uncle.
Yeah.
Then there was a young girl with a Raw Women's Championship, and she asked if he missed the ginger snaps in the mismatch challenge. Then Zayn asked if she was talking about Becky Lynch, to which the girl said "duh" in the mic, which popped the crowd. Zayn
started the show.
Yeah, Zayn then mocked her and her parents and asked if she was wondering about Becky or if she was really wondering about Seth Rollins, and he winked. The girl tried to talk back into the mic, but Charlie pulled that shit away. There's a GIF going around Twitter of that shit that's hilarious. Another fan asked Sammy what it was like getting destroyed by Braun Strowman. Zayn then threatened to punch the guy, but then realized he would just get tied up in litigation. Zayn didn't like the questions and said everyone could ask him anything, like if he was a good kisser. And he assured us that he was a good kisser and, in fact, a tender lover. So a fan then asked Sammy why he hadn't won the Universal title yet.
That fan tried to say that, but he fucked it up very badly.
What's taking you so long to win a Universal title, essentially? And Zayn
I thought the real question is, Sammy, when are you going to win any titles in WWE?
Then Zayn basically wondered about the questions, and then he told the fans they could ask anything. They could even ask him about AEW. And then the crowd popped after that and started chanting for AEW. And Graves tried to run the shit on, and then Seth Rollins came out looking all angry, and then Sami Zayn skedaddled, and Rollins threw a chair at him. So anybody that was out here talking this rent-free bullshit and WWE's not gonna respond to AEW, WWE's not thinking about AEW, kiss my ass, shut up, take your L. Why the fuck did this happen?
Dude, I don't know. I saw it and I was like, wait, what? And I was like, I started laughing. I was like, wait, what? And then I thought to myself, like, Sammy just out here popping himself. He's like, what y'all gonna do, fire me? I was like, I mean, whatever. Like, there's so much of this Sami Zayn character that is like, at one point, like, it's frustrating. He's frustrated, and another part is like, he's also giving lines in the script or whatever else, and it's like he's doing this, but like,
is he actually the best talker in WWE right now?
Is he best talker?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, pretty much. I mean, because they don't really have Becky doing much right now. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, like, I think the last Becky promo that I really loved was like after Royal Rumble. So yeah, I would say her. And then Joe, they give Joe just.
All right, we're back from some technical difficulties. You were saying they give Joe bits and pieces, James?
Yeah, they give Joe bits and pieces of. It's almost like WWE's trying to save her and save all of the hot fire on this, that he possesses. But yeah, I would say probably Sammy so far this year. Yeah.
So this, I don't. Yeah, I thought they were above such shenanigans, but apparently not. So we got.
I guess we'll find out one day. It's like, did he just go rogue or what? Or
All right, we're back again. Having some more technical difficulties, but you were saying Sami Zayn was going rogue?
yeah. I don't know if that was actually in the script, and I guess one day we'll find out. But it's just, I don't know. Maybe he's just doing whatever he can to enjoy his time. I don't know.
Just saying there was a lot going around about WWE, like working their backstage, not only their writers but the wrestlers with this stuff, and with this AEW stuff starting on the horizon, this more of this stuff could be happening. And there are examples essentially going back to Money in the Bank, like as far as like not telling people what they want to do and protecting stuff, making sure things don't get out. So,
Rich, the SummerSlam 2016 finish where Brock busts Orton, no one knew about that either, except for a few people. So, like, why the fuck are they working the backstage? What fucking benefit does it do you?
I don't know what they're trying to protect, because they expose every fucking thing themselves anyway.
Yeah, and also it's another thing was like, the problem isn't that people aren't surprised by whatever it is you do. The problem is that what you do often does not reflect or is an embodiment of what you did for the lead up. So that's really the bigger issue than anything else. It's not about whether or not people were surprised or whatever. Like, no.
Yeah. And throughout this whole show, they're teasing that Brock is going to eventually cash in tonight, and they've been doing this for 3 weeks now. Never happened. Spoiler alert. For those of you that you didn't hear, but when Seth came out, he ends up having a match with Sami Zayn. They have kind of a basic TV match, and actually they go 20 minutes. And then Seth Rollins, of course, starts selling the fucking knee in the middle of it. And I'm just like, minutes before this, I was on Rob's head talking about, look, man, Seth Rollins is dull. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, it's been since 2016 now, like when he came back, that they fucked up his babyface return. How long are we gonna let that be the reason for him being dull?
I don't know what his knee has to do with whether or not he's an engaging personality. And honestly, how many people are engaging personalities on either one of these shows right now?
Yeah.
Are there even two handfuls of them?
Yeah. And pretty much it was a deal where I was like, Roman wouldn't have got his main event stolen from him. So yeah. So they have a match. It's pretty decent. Like a little 3-star deal. And he starts selling the fucking knee, and then I immediately just disconnect from the match. He eventually recovers.
It was funny because at Double or Nothing, in the middle of the match between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros, Matt starts selling his back, and the first thing was like, God damn it, what is it with no, don't do this. Do not. It's not a good idea. Like, I just want to see the match. I don't need all of a sudden oh, remember this from back then? Like, no, bro. Like, either come into the match with an injury or don't. Like, I don't need it flared up on me. It's fucking herpes, right? And the thing about it is with Seth is it has been going on with Seth now for this is year 3 of it.
Yes.
Year 3. It's not. I don't consider that to be engaging long form storytelling. I just kind of define it to be just all right, this is something I'll just do from time to time. Yeah, and I'll be selective about it too.
He does a deal where he acts like his knees hurt after a dive where he clearly jumps up and down like God intends, like on a dive, and he lands perfectly fine. Then he just crumbles over in pain. He still hits all of his same moves at the end of the match.
Except he takes like a split second to like sell it and then continue to like at the end of this match. The end of the match was he does a curb stomp on this bad leg. So then he's like, "Oh, it hurts so bad," and then let me go ahead and do it again. And then immediately pin the dude. It's like this. Okay, Seth. Whatever.
Well, I just saw that and I was like, "This is why I give him so much shit."
I feel like y'all are too hard on Seth, but at the same time, like there are things that goes on with Seth where I'm just over too. Like, but at least like this bothers me less than when they have him come out there and be just a whiny babyface. So whatever. Like I guess I got to pick my poison on when it comes to that, and I'd much rather have him, oh, my knee hurt. Let me continue doing moves with my bad knee, even though I'm the architect and I should be smart enough not to, be able to do a wrestling match without hurting my knee over and over and over like a moron. But whatever.
And he's yelling at Sami Zayn, cutting promos without
the mic.
My life! This is my life! During the match.
Yes. This is my life!
Holy fuck.
Am I the only one that thought about Young Jeezy and Akon, Soul Survivor?
This is my life!
This ain't a rap song, nigga. This is my life.
Boy. Yeah, man. I thought this show was abysmal. Throw it in the fucking bin. How dare they put this show on the airwaves? This show was an insult to people that call themselves wrestling fans. This was for the sports entertainment enthusiasts, as they say. Definitely, I don't want to hear shit about, it's Memorial Day, they laid it down on purpose. Bullshit. They're going head to head with the NBA Finals next week. So, possibly. So,
but my question is, like, yeah, they laid it down on Memorial Day weekend or whatever, but why? Like, you have a pay-per-view. But why? You have a pay-per-view in 2 weeks. And you know how WWE is. Typically speaking, when it comes to a pay-per-view build, not the last week, not the go-home show, the week before the go-home show is typically like their best episodes of TV to get to a pay-per-view. So, like, this is it, and that's what we got. And I was like,
this shit was
a lot left to be desired.
This was fresh trash. I thought this was easily the worst Raw of the year. And I just looked up and down the show just like, this is what this show is descended to. I'm glad I no longer have a commitment to watch it every week. Monday nights will be so much more pleasant. Either I can continue working on music, or I can watch New Japan, or I can watch Mid-South Wrestling if I want. I can watch any fucking thing but Monday Night Raw and watching Vince McMahon run this company off a cliff. Holy fuck. I'm so glad I don't have to watch the show anymore.
I'm now thinking about if this was the worst Raw of the year.
Mind you, they've done a lot of shit, and shit you remind me of today. I had totally forgot about that Jeff Jarrett shit. Totally forgot about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was what we were talking about as far as worst Raw of the year. It was more or less we were talking about, it was a hypothetical of, if they were going to do a inside the inside the NBA with AEW, who would be on it? And I said, like, I want Cornette and Mike Tenay, and Mike Tenay as Ernie Johnson and Cornette as the Barkley role, and then you could pick whoever the two other people you want to be. I really don't care. So that would be entertaining. So then I was like, but in reality, like if they actually did do this show, you know who would be on it, and that would be JEFF. JARRETT, Jeff Jarrett, y'all. He would, and then you were like, well, what are you saying? He would quit? I was like, you tell me. Do you think that Jeff Jarrett would quit a higher profile job on screen with less travel? You tell me if he would quit and take that job.
So the reason why that reminded me of that, because you sent the GIF of the current Jeff Jarrett and Monday Night Raw, or whatever, and that made me remember.
Shit. That's right.
Yes, that made me remember that Elias shit. And I was like, they've literally just put so much trash out that I've had to mentally make room in like I've had to clean out the trash to make room for more trash on here. So if you're bending over backwards to defend this show, more power to you. You know, I hope your legs are okay when you come out on the other side. Yeah, because you have to be taking drugs to enjoy this show. So
okay, so I think I found the worst Monday Night Raw this year. It was the one in Cincinnati, right? Like, so that is, oh yeah, so that's like Corbin and Lashley versus Seth to start the show, like right after I think this is like right after the brand split, or the shakeup or whatever else. So you got Lucha House Party versus or fighting three bums or squash three bums. You got Ricochet in the rematch against Bobby Roode. You got Lacey Evans in that squash match where she does absolutely nothing and then hits that moonsault. The Viking, I'm gonna say the War Raiders. The Viking Raiders versus Hawkins and Ryder, Roman versus McIntyre, and then Kofi versus Daniel Bryan. Like that match, that show. Like, I'm trying to think what else happened on that show that was so bad. I can't remember, but like I'm looking through the cage match. I'm just looking for like things that had worse average voters, and that was one that popped up, and that was only from like a month or two ago.
Wow.
Raw be so bad, you just forget what you saw a month ago.
Yes. For your own mental health. Jesus. So it's really been difficult. I've taken on the task. I took on the task of covering Raw when we started doing this on here, and it would be like, okay, if it's trash, I'll just rip it. Like, that was my mentality on it, right? Hoping it would be good. I don't think Monday Night Raw had the better show 10 times during the whole time we did this. So I put a lot of like care into writing the notes that I took for this show, and it would just descend into chaos the further along that we've got until we reach this point where I'm like, fuck this show. I never want to watch it. Like, I don't know how I literally feel like this man's stealing money. Like, how does he turn this into billions of dollars?
It's an institution. It's an institution, and you know, a lot of people watch it. Not a lot of young people, but a lot of people watch it.
Yeah. And
it was their pastime, and they stuck with it. And yeah, I think like if you're not watching Raw, then if you want to watch professional wrestling in America, and you're not watching Raw, where are you going to watch? Like, you going to watch Impact? Can you find Impact on your TV within like 1 minute without having to go through Google and trying to find your TV lineup or whatever for your cable provider or your whatever service you're using? Do you know what time during like that Saturday night or weekend night that like Ring of Honor is airing? Like, Lucha Underground, that's never coming back. Like, what you gonna do? You gonna tune in to Fridays to Arena Mexico, and check and figure out what channel or what channel on your cable is the Univision or I don't know if it's Univision or if it's Telemundo. I don't even know. You know, that's kind of where we are.
Well, at least until the fall. So,
oh my god.
So, I can't wait for AEW to start and whatever their weekly TV it is, because it cannot. There's no world that it will be as bad as Monday Night Raw, and if so, they should fold up before they begin if they start going down that road. But highly unlikely.
The crazy part was, you said this is the worst Raw of the year. I'm going through all of these Raws on this cage match, and like so many of these Raws are sub 3 as far as overall show rating. Is like, I mean, any of these shows could take the cake. Pretty much any of them. It's or not. Let me rephrase it. Like, it's almost like every 3 weeks there is just a god awful Raw according to cage match voters. Like, it's wild. And I look through the car lineup, and I'm like, wow, this was a bad show. I forgot about this one, and I forgot about this one, and this one. Like, this goes back to even like Rousey still in this card. Like, this is the one in Boston, and it's Rousey versus Sarah Logan. It's Charlotte versus Ruby Riott. It's Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan.
That was horrible.
It's Finn Balor versus It's Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley and Jinder Mahal in a handicap match. It's it's Blackachet versus the Revival. It's Sasha versus Natalya. It's Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews. It's Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. It's McIntyre versus Ambrose. I'm assuming that's the one where he beat the fuck out of him. So, or one of the two where he beat the fuck out of him. So yeah, like we've had some bad Raws, especially since like Survivor Series. Some real dandies.
It's a fucking celebration. Get high, get high. That's going to wrap up your Raw report. We will be back with the SmackDown portion. Holy shit, I hate Monday Night Raw. Anyway, we back. Welcome back to One Nation Radio here on Lords of Pain. Our last show on the network here. So make sure you guys, if you have enjoyed our shows thus far, I appreciate everyone that has reached out thus far. That was in the mentions earlier this week saying they listened to One Nation Radio, they discovered it through LOP Radio and all that. We hope you guys will ride with us over to the Social Suplex Podcast Network, socialsuplexwrestling.podbean.com. You can get subscribed really easy. You can type in whatever podcast player. If you have an iPhone, go into the podcast thing, just type in Social Suplex Podcast Network. We're right on that feed, and we drop every Sunday. Might be early in the day, might be late in the day, but on Sundays, that's when we put the shows out. Thank you guys for rocking with us here, and we're going to give you the final SmackDown review coming up next. So, James, take us through SmackDown.
Do I have to?
I mean, this SmackDown was nothing to write home about either. It was trash and more trash carried over. So,
there was a good ass Kofi Kingston and Kevin Owens match, but
after that, this shit light.
Okay, last time ever. The show opens with a recap of last week's assault by Dolph Ziggler on Kofi Kingston. Owens gets a promo where he says that the thing that keeps him going is that he's going to be able to beat Kofi Kingston up a little bit. And he says that if the New Day want to blame him for something, they can blame him for the pain that Xavier is in Kofi's fairy. He says that Kofi's fairy tale ending at Super Showdown. That they won't need to send him a card. They can thank him in person for it. So Kofi comes out. He tells Kevin to stop with all the lies. It tells him that he's not a good person, but rather a liar. He says that he's going to soften him up for Dolph Ziggler. And he's just lying to himself. So, and he's not going to soften him up. And what's going to happen is he's going to pay. Kofi is talking like very weirdly. So even though Kofi isn't 100%, he won't be stopped from making him pay for injuring Big E's knee and attacking Xavier again and again. So then we end up getting Kofi Kingston versus Kevin Owens. I'm trying to think how that match started. I can't remember. It's not in my notes. Whatever. Anyway, Kofi had the early advantage, but Owens took over before commercial break. Owens was firmly in control and hit a senton on the floor. From the apron to the floor. He then slowed down the pace with the chin lock. Kofi ends up fighting back, but Owens cut him off with a clothesline. Kingston ends up sending Owens to the floor and followed that up with a dive. The trust fall, and the trust fall, you guys actually supposed to catch you, and then he does a trust fall for a wrestling move, and then Kevin doesn't catch him, and he just lands right on his ass, right on his tailbone. I just as a person that's had a sprained tailbone before, I was just I know that pain. I know that pain. So
broke his back with a broken back.
Yeah. So then Kofi ends up held on, and I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. Okay, so then Owens ends up attempting a stunner, but Kofi countered with an SOS for a near fall. Kofi left up to the top turnbuckle, but Owens ends up shoving him off to the floor. So Kofi basically goes falling over the stairs, the steel stairs, and goes to the floor. we come back from commercial break, and Owens had Kofi another chin lock, and ended up giving Kingston a slingshot over the top rope. And then Kingston held on and tried to skin the cat, but Owens ends up kicking him with in the head with a super kick, and then hit a frog splash off the apron to the floor. So then Owens tried to win by count out, but Kofi beat the 10 count, and then Owens hits a frog splash in the ring for another near fall, and then Owens went back up, and then Kofi cut him off, and then they fall on the turnbuckle. Owens is a rocking Kofi with the headbutt, and then he fell off, and then KO hits a swanton for another crazy near fall. He just kept dropping his big body on this dude. So Owens ends up attempting a pop up power bomb, but then Kofi ends up escaping and hitting the Trouble in Paradise for the win. Really good match.
Yeah, I think I faded in and out on this one. So I saw like some of it, and then like, you know, it was like, this has been a long day.
So we go to back, and we end up getting Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre and Elias in Shane's office, a graphic air promoting that is, in fact, Shane McMahon Appreciation Night, and they're going to do a segment later. We go somewhere else backstage where it's R-Truth and Carmelo running backstage. R-Truth complained about having to defend the title at all times. So then they hide in the room, and then Drake Maverick walks by, putting up some more R-Truth wanted posters, and then they run off the opposite direction without being seen. So then we're going somewhere else. We're going to Motor Ring, where we get an interview with Caleb Blackson interviewing. I ruined the gimmick. It's the Fly Ref. The Fly Ref interviewing Daniel Bryan and Rowan in the ring. She revealed that they requested this time to reissue their mission statement. Bryan called the SmackDown Tag Team Division a joke. Bryan and Rowan Bryan says that Rowan has a joke. Rowan then goes and says, knock, knock. Kayla says, who's there? Rowan says, WWE Tag Team Wrestling. Kayla says, WWE Tag Team Wrestling who? Rowan says, exactly. I was just like, this is the realest thing we've seen in a while on the screen. So Bryan said the people of Oklahoma were the worst.
You hear that, Caleb Baldwin?
He said that they're leaders in fracking and oil drilling, which makes fans cheer because they're dumbasses. Bryan said that the mission statement is to save the planet and the tag team division. And then I think someone along the way he mentioned that like Oklahoma's having earthquakes, and they were cheering as well because, like I said, dumbasses. So Braxton pointed out that they may think that the division is a joke, but there are tag teams that want a shot at them. So then out comes Heavy Machinery in the middle of Flyover Country, just trying to bask in all of it, but that did not work because we haven't seen these dudes in weeks. So
who are these dudes?
Yes, like I ain't never ever seen this dude before. Like Starface and T.I. on Down with the King. I ain't never ever seen this dude in my neighborhood before, man. So anyway, where are we? Yeah, so they come down to the ring. Fuck All Night Tucker Knight said that they respect Rowan and Bryan, but it's time to get down to business because they're done with the shenanigans apparently, or they're done with having fun. Yeah, I love it when it's like, you know, they just love to have fun. They said, we're done having fun. It's time to get to business. So they say they want to shot the tag titles right now, and then Bryan accepted the challenge, but not in Oklahoma because, of course, who want to wrestle in Oklahoma at a big stage? Sorry, Caleb. So backstage, we get Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, and they're basically gawking at Mandy's cover for, I think it's Her Fitness or something. It's from some fitness magazine.
I think I'm always going to say this when it comes to Mandy Rose. Do you remember when Mandy Rose... I think I'm always going to say this when it comes to Mandy Rose. Do you remember when she was trying to fuck Jimmy Uso in the fuck chair?
Okay, Lanza. She wasn't trying to fuck Jimmy Uso. She was trying to make it look like she was fucking Jimmy Uso because she hated Naomi so much because Naomi said that she thought that she wasn't trying hard enough at 5 years ago, or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago at the Tough Enough deal that she was on.
Boy. always had that memory.
Yeah. I have nothing else to add to that. Yeah, I'm just gonna move on. So yeah, they end up like I said, they end up going over the gawking over the fact that she's on a magazine. I think it's Muscle and Fitness or Muscle and Fitness Hers, or I don't know if there's two, but some fitness magazine. So and Manny's on it. So Sonya and Manny end up handing out these magazines to backstage workers. They have piles of them, both of their hands, and so they hand them out to some backstage geeks. But they hand them out to the Iconics. In the background, after they hand it to the Iconics, they tell them to look at it and, you know, get you some tips or whatever else. And you can barely see it, but in the background, you can see Billy and Peyton, like both of them have the magazine open, and you see them doing lunges. They're trying to get right for the summer. I thought that was funny. I was like, look, I don't know if they were told to do that, but like, good job. Like, you did something. Well done, pig. You did. So anyway, after doing all of that, they end up walking up on Ember Moon, who was reading Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Neville ended up spoiling the ending of the book, allegedly. I don't know what the exact spoiling was, but she made a joke that, like, everyone dies. So they ended up basically throwing a stack of magazines on top of Ember, and then they walk off. So then they say that the next match up is Ember. I'm not saying not Ember, but Carmella versus Mandy, and I guess that was supposed to be the gimmick to make you stay tuned.
The rematch.
Yeah, so we come back for commercial break, and it's those two. So, whatever. Match starts. Mandy gets early advantage, and she ends up slowing down the pace with a chin lock. Stop me if you've heard this before. So, Mandy ends up rocking Carmella with a knee for a near fall. Carmella ends up fighting back and hit the Bronco Buster for a 2 count. Sonya jumped on the apron and caused a distraction. Carmella attempted a super kick, but Mandy ducked and rolled her up for the win.
Boy, the Divas era.
Yeah. So in the back, sure, whatever. Like it's either way, it was always branding anyway, right? Right. It was always branding. So, whatever. Yeah. So I mean, look, like they got Sonya, they got Carmella, they got Mandy. You know, they have a bunch of different women that like are green as shit, and it is what it is. Meanwhile, Santana Garrett just around,
chilling.
Anywho, so we go to the back, and Jinder ends up jumping R-Truth and with a schoolboy on the floor, which had to hurt. R-Truth just rolls all the way through and then throws that geek out a door and runs off.
L.
Yeah, big L. And that's second ring road. That's 2 L's. Call him Cool J.
Yeah.
So then R-Truth ends up running off and hiding into like one of those photo booths, and his legs still there. You can see his legs, but he apparently, because he cut off, he closed the drape amongst the top half. You can't tell that this is R-Truth. You know, whatever. So then a group of geeks basically run along trying to find him, and then there goes Drake Maverick again. A little bit more wanted posters for this black man.
A black man on the run, huh? A bunch of white people chasing him. That's what they was doing out here.
And people keep putting up wanted signs. It's like, this is real antebellumish.
Look,
real,
and the black man has a piece of gold that he's running around with that they all want.
Oh my God!
Getting kind of weird vibes on this.
Shit. Rich, this is the real 1849 shit.
You know, this black man has.
They had her chasing after this runaway, and they had her trying to get this gold.
Hey, also, who did R-Truth take the gold from?
Who was it?
Bobby Roode.
I can't remember.
So
I'll get that one.
So he took it from a white man. So they trying to get this back. can't throw us off the air now. Like,
oh my God. Oh boy, wow.
And then when you think about it, they finally caught him. Like, not to step on your review, but then they finally caught him, and 3 white men beat him down and took it back.
Yeah, that's a little different because they would have like whatever.
Yeah.
One thing definitely different is like the end of the show where he actually got it back and won at the end, and like you only hear about that Django and Shane.
Yes.
So anyway, 5 hours of pro wrestling so bad that James Boyd and Rich Latta have to entertain themselves with jokes. that's what this is broken down into. That's what this is devolved into. Oh man. So so then we end up getting Shane McMahon Appreciation Night. Shane, Drew, and Elias they walk down to the sorry?
For fucking what?
Because he's evil, so you appreciate the evil because it's a heel tactic to get appreciated.
Hey, Shane McMahon can appreciate these nuts. Like
exactly. So Shane McIntyre and Elias make their way down to the ring. Shane ends up. How come every time I hear the word, I see the name McMahon, the last name, even when I write it, like I still think like Vince, like not Stephanie, not Shane, Vince. Anyway,
Shane is Vince now. Shane is Vince now. Like,
I mean,
he's Vince's age in the Attitude Era now.
Yeah, and he, I don't know. Like, I remember 20 years ago, like Shane was more charismatic then than now.
Well, that man washed,
punch drunk too.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shane said that he was hesitant when his good friends Drew suggested the appreciation night. Shane said he didn't need a trophy or an appreciation night, even though he has both now. Shane said that he's a humble man and he came back to run a family business, even though he shouldn't be running a family business because he lost that match at WrestleMania 32, and he also like had that blackmail shit on Vince that we were never told was actually in the thing, but we're not going to remember that because that was more than 2 weeks ago. Sorry. So he says he's all about putting smiles on fans' faces, which is a goddamn lie. He showed up. I mean, like, not only are you not accomplishing that, like, you're also a heel doing it. And also, like, it's like on 2 levels you're lying. It's not just like, this show's not entertaining.
Well,
y'all
turning people away from the show.
Yeah. Like you running folks off with a broom talking about get, damn it. So anyway, so he said he's all about putting smiles on fans' faces. He showed up. He showed a video that he guarantees would send the fans home smiling, and they recap Shane's stellar backyarding career. So after the video, Shane praised the production crew and Kevin Dunn and the crowd booed, and then he told the fans not to boo, which made it booing even worse, which probably made Vince laugh his ass off backstage. So then Shane promised to beat Roman Reigns at Super Showdown, and he's going to beat some respect into him. So then Elias praised Shane, and then began singing a song about Shane in Oklahoma, and then suddenly R-Truth runs his ass out into the ring, interrupts, and then like Drake Maverick's behind him. So then R-Truth beats Drake Maverick's ass and pins him, and then Elias. And so then they all jump him. I think McIntyre hit a Claymore kick, and then they whooped his ass, and they pinned R-Truth for his belt, for his gold. Yep. So then Shane is still mad at R-Truth that he interrupted the appreciation night, so he announced McIntyre and Elias will be against R-Truth and Roman Reigns later in the night, which means that like what the fuck would have been Shane's main event if not for this thing just falling in upon his lap, right? So
questions we're not supposed to ask.
Yeah, I guess not. So then Shane ends up suspending the 24/7 rules. So he ends up suspending the 24/7 rules on a 24/7 title, so that Elias can focus on his upcoming match. He doesn't have to worry about anyone attacking him. So we go backstage and we get Caleb Braxton interviewing Lacey Evans, and then Charlotte. They're teamed up together, and they're almost like, it's funny because like they're doing like what her and Becky used to do with the Teen Time little handshake thing they used to have, and they're actually like sitting there and they're doing a tea party because Lacey is a was it a sassy Southern belle, and then Charlotte is also one too, but like that wasn't her branding. So, yeah. So they say they're having tea, and then they complain about Becky and Bayley, and they promise to defeat Bayley. So I'm getting Lacey versus Bayley.
This shit was physical. Yeah.
So then Charlotte also comes down to be part of the guest announcer, or sorry, guest commentary. Lacey has the early advantage. She tried to roll up Bayley, but Bayley rolled through and caught her with a knee. We come back from the break, and Lacey is firmly in control. Lacey stomps on Bayley, but Bayley fights back. She ends up sending Lacey to the floor and hit her with a sliding drop kick. They ended up near the announcers, and Charlotte got in Bayley's face, and then Bayley sent Lacey back in the ring and then went after Charlotte. Charlotte distracted the ref, and then Lacey went to roll up Bayley, and Bayley ended up reversing it, and Bayley ends up countering that roll up with for a win.
I don't know if it's just Bayley being a really good worker, but it feels like there were a couple stiff shots that Lacey gave her, like that were stomps near the apron, and then Bayley like kind of just snapped out of cell mode, and she just started like punching the shit out of her legs, like bitch, get like cool the fuck down, like it felt like a fight kind of with those two.
Yeah,
I thought Charlotte was like added nothing on commentary.
I thought that Charlotte, because she was so calm, like throughout the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it was. I don't know. But it definitely was definitely different than what we've seen out of Charlotte like recently, as far as how she would act in commentary normally. So
right.
It was kind of. I didn't think it was necessarily bad, but I just thought it was like that's not. I don't know. I don't know what I couldn't put my finger on exactly. Yeah. So sorry. After the match, Evans ends up jumping Charlotte from behind, and then because she's pissed off that she lost that match because of Charlotte's interference, so Charlotte just hits her with a fucking big boot with her bare ass foot because her heels came off, and just laid Lacey out. She's on the floor, and then
I fucking loved it.
It was like, I was being friends with you fucking geek.
Yeah.
Do you really think that you're actually on my level just because you're my height?
Yeah.
Bitch, please. Like that's what it came off to me. Like she booted her. Like, and it was at the end. Like this could have been a situation where, like 20 years ago, like if we saw this on a Nitro, like this was the end of her career. This was the end of Lacey Evans' career again. 20 years ago.
Fucking, I'm glad that Charlotte beat the shit out of her, so I don't have to hear the ironic assholes jerk off to them being a tag team. So, holla.
Wait, what? People wanted her to be a tag team?
What's up?
People wanted them to be a tag team?
Yes. The strange overlap with the people that hate Becky Lynch.
Huh. I guess so. It's weird. Like my favorite wrestling group of all time, or not all time, but like of recent memory, are the Horsewomen, right? Like people have a clique, people have like Bone, the BSK and all that other shit. People have whoever else, like mine's the Horsewoman. So it's like I like all four of them, and I hope all of them do great and well in the future. And I hope that one of them takes her ass to AEW and becomes the star that she always meant to be. While these other three are in these nice positions right now, that's like seems like a win-win for me. But yeah, so when people were like they prop up Charlotte because they are upset with Becky, like for me, like I can't relate. Like if one of them wins, I feel like I'm winning because like I love all four of them, so I'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
way to go, Charlotte.
Yeah. Oh, and the best part was like the geeks assembled after she booted her, and they were like, "Get my shoes." She put her heels back on. That shit was great. Yes, it felt like a boss move.
Beat her ass in a suit.
Yes. In the shorts. She was in the. Was that a suit? Was that a skirt suit, or was that a short set?
It was a skirt suit.
Okay, all right. I couldn't tell. I was looking at hard. I was like, is she out here in a short set? That's funny. Yeah. So, oh man. So we go to the back, we get Andrade, and actually that's not what I said, oh man, it's what comes next after that. But we end up going to the back, we get Andrade and Zelina and they discuss his upcoming match with Finn Balor, and he said that like he more or less said like, what the fuck is your demon gonna do when you come up against the great Andrade? While looking dead into the camera, so it was like I like that.
Yeah.
So
sounded confident with that English.
So
I can tell that he's been practiced. Never mind.
You stupid. You stupid. It would have been even singing in his native tongue, but whatever.
Yeah.
So like what brought on my original side is we got the replay of the same exact Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse thing that we talked about doing Raw, so I'm not gonna go over it again. So we end up the best part about this is Roman Reigns makes his entrance. They go to commercial break. He's in the ring. They go to this and then they come back with Roman in the fucking ring, like, and he makes a face like, "What in the fuck is this?" Like, I can't believe that. I can't believe this been the dude I've been hitting the roads with, and he just came out of his fucking mind in part. Or this is the dude that like I had to have this feud, and like people wonder like my career isn't where it should be. Like this shit.
All right, we're back. You said this. How is Roman Reigns feeling?
Yeah, Roman Reigns is like, I can't believe that like I gave parts of my career to this dude, and he like, I never got over it because I was out here wrestling this fucking guy, and just terrible. Like that's the face he made. I was like, it's all on his face, just like, yo, this is what they're doing with me. This is what they've done with me. This is what they will do with me. like fucking up Roman Reigns, then, now, forever. Anyway, so
you, bro, if it ain't like a tentpole event, like if SummerSlam's not coming or WrestleMania or Survivor Series, they be handing that man fresh bullshit to keep him away from whatever to try to like knock the scent off. It's like, bro, just looking fucking strong. Like, who cares at this point?
Remember 2017 when they had a losing record on pay-per-view? After that whole year, actually.
Yes, they worked people into thinking that he was not going to end up in a WrestleMania main event. Fucking right. Idiots.
Oh my god. So anyway, because our troop got that ass jumped like an hour ago or 45 minutes ago, he comes out holding his ribs. And he walks down. No dancing, no shucking and jiving, as he likes to call himself doing. And,
no rapping.
Yeah, no carrying that white woman on his back like he's Jack Johnson. None of that. So he ends up.
Look, no man act.
Yes, no man act. Like no, like flying in the face of investigation laws. So he's out here. Yeah, so they end up actually. He walks up, he gets halfway down the ramp. Then McIntyre and Elias end up jumping R-Truth from behind. So then Roman ends up making a save, and they end up fighting off the heels. Reigns in control until Shane causes a distraction. The heels isolate Reigns on their side of the ring. Reigns fights back and hits Samoan drop, but R-Truth ends up tagging in. The heels quickly took over because he's a geek. He's injured. So R-Truth McIntyre gives R-Truth a tilt-a-whirl slam on the apron, which damaging for the back and ribs. So we come back commercial break, and R-Truth fought back, but Elias cut him off with a clothesline. The heels tried a double team move on Truth, but Truth ends up fighting out of it. Reigns ends up getting the hot tag, and he runs wild. He rocked Elias with some clotheslines in the corner. I'm trying to remember those clotheslines, or it was like those clothesline punch things he did in the corner for a 10 count. Can't remember. Anyway, Reigns hits a Superman punch on McIntyre, and then he hits a drive-by on Elias. Shane ends up attacking Reigns from behind on the floor, and then Reigns grabs Shane, and then McIntyre tried to hit the Claymore kick, but Reigns moves, so McIntyre goes sliding and crashing on the announce table, and then we go back into the ring, and then Reigns ends up hitting a spear on Elias for the win. So at least they're still kind of protecting McIntyre. So McIntyre and Shane end up going up the ramp.
You know what it's going to be a setup for, right?
Well, I'm not done. Just let me a second. So, because the 24/7 rule has now been put back into place, R-Truth climbs on top of Elias and gets his title back. And we go to black.
Fuck him, we ball.
Yes, us.
So, after Roman Reigns beat Shane McMahon's ass in Saudi Arabia, the next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules. So, I am predicting that it will be a 1-on-2 handicap match between Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon against Roman Reigns. In like a tables match or something. They're randomly going to start putting each other through all types of tables and shit. That is my prediction. But SmackDown wasn't good either. It was just better than Raw.
Yeah. Barely.
Unfucking-leavable. Oh my god. Yeah, that's going to wrap it up. We're going to be back with the LeBron James You Bum, as well as the wrestler of the entire period. So, yeah, we'll be back.
A name caller. What'd I say? Let me hear you say it.
Call him a bum.
It's not a name call. It's nice. You bum.
Welcome back. It is the final LeBron James You Bum of the Week, but instead of the week, we have decided to summarize our entire time covering this show, and we went through and nominated 5 bums and 5 wrestlers of the show, essentially. And I think you guys, can go back through the archives. You've heard a lot of these names being praised and also ripped to shreds. So, of course, as customary, we will start with the bums. I figure this time we'll just go ahead and announce everyone ahead of time, then we'll crown the bums, and then we'll talk about the wrestler of the quarter or the period or whatever. So, your list of bums. The Riot Squad. When it comes to being in meaningless 6-woman tags, the Riot Squad's your team. They will get beat like bums all the time. They were just used to either put over Ronda Rousey or Becky Lynch or Charlotte or Sasha and Bayley at any given time. Taking all kinds of L's. Getting destroyed within minutes. Like, when it comes to Ronda and different stuff like that. So, the Riot Squad nominees. The Miz and Shane McMahon. Responsible for so much terrible television. So many soul-sucking segments. So many bad promos. So many nonsensical matches.
So much bad action. So many terrible beatdowns. So many,
horrible strikes.
So many non-submissionable submissions. I don't know what the fuck that word is. So many submissions that will not make you actually tap out or pass out.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, and the whole time when they were trying to become a team, the time they were a team, they've won Bum of the Week in both of those things, so they had to have a spot on this list.
Yeah. Remember before SummerSlam, how you were Miz and Bryan and how high profile it was going, or it should be, and where the places it could take really Miz and where he could be as far as the championship status and all that kind of shit. And it's whoo, boy, man, he almost got you. He almost got you thinking there was going to be a breakthrough star. Nah, opposite, downfall.
Players fuck up.
Imagine you get a TV show with WWE and then they decide to ruin you.
Unbelievable.
Imagine, they lower your profile as you get a TV show, a documentary, a reality TV show. That's when they decide to lower your profile. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, unbelievable. They completely ruined that.
Makes it even better. Dolph Ziggler be doing cameos in that show all the time, and where the fuck's he been? They want that man to be an Asian. He don't want to hang it up.
He back now, fighting for the belt.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Then next time we'll see him when he shows up at number 30 at the Royal Rumble again.
Damn, I thought Dolph was gone. Nope, still here. Oh, the third guy, and this guy caught all types of hell during the fall and winter on this show. The man formerly known as Dean Ambrose, who is no longer with the promotion.
No, the funny part is like people think like me, but like especially you, but me is even funnier. Like, you know, we're all in on the AEW bandwagon, the bag, whatever else. Is like, well, he showed up and was, you know, the top thing for buzz for AEW. He's also a fucking bonus. So, you know, like, don't get it fucked up. Like, just because he shows up on AEW does not mean his ass wasn't doing some of the worst television like of last year. So,
yes,
here you go.
Just atrocious when it comes to the promos, when it comes to just being presented awfully.
This motherfucker got inoculations, Rich. They shot that man because the town is for heat. They had a grown-ass man say that I'm going to get vaccinated when I come to your city because you guys stink and you smell bad and blase squad, and that's supposed to be the heat. Is that this motherfucking grown-ass adult decided to act and behave like a normal adult and get vaccinated? Like, what?
This man showed up with a fucking Bane masks and shit.
Oh my god.
This man had horrible matches with Seth Rollins on pay-per-view.
He had the Macklemore jacket on too, like he got from the thrift shop. Ugh.
Yo. Thank God he got out of WWE. Please. Look, this was the only option for him. There was no staying in WWE for him. I don't care what they offered him. He had to leave.
He had one of the most dumbest, like, nonsensical heel turns of all time too.
Yes.
Like, he complained about how the storyline was the Dogs of War versus the Shield, and McIntyre and Ziggler and Strowman are all teasing that he's going to be the one that betrays them because look at Seth, look at Roman, they have everything, and meanwhile Ambrose has nothing, and then Ambrose goes behind and says, he's right, I do have nothing. And then Roman leaves because he has to go fight for his life, and on that same night, they win the tag titles, and when he finally gets to something, he turns heel and beats the piss out of Seth, and it's so fucking dumb.
Weeks after he turned down a shot at the Universal title or the Intercontinental title.
Yes, I forgot about that. The Shield, all the times they fought each other for titles. How many times Dean Ambrose and Roman have fought each other for the WWE title at like Survivor Series 2016 or whatnot. They were offered opportunity. Yeah, you can fight either one of them. He says, no, I don't want to fight them. And so he ends up having to go fight Braun Strowman and get his ass whooped. And then Roman has to make the save because he's about to get murdered. And then he says, you know what? I could be Universal Champion. No shit, motherfucker. That's the reason why they offer you this opportunity, you goddamn dummy.
Oh my god. No wonder this man left the company. No wonder he said, fuck your money.
Sense. Bro, Rich, what was the reason why he turned heel? Still waiting to find out.
We still don't know because he wouldn't tell Seth Rollins why he turned on him.
Bro, he had a shirt that said never apologize, never give a reason or some shit like that. Like, yo, why?
That he won't tell you why he did it.
Why?
Unfucking-believable. Dean Ambrose, you earned your spot on this fucking list.
You're not winning, but you damn sure, boy. You fool. And the shit was so bad. It was like the reason I honestly feel this way. I don't know if you feel this way or not, but for me, like the reason why I'm so unenthused by Seth at times is part of it is because of how bad this fucking feud was. And one thing I will give WWE credit for is they did that match at TLC and they said, no, we're not doing any more of this because this shit sucks. We're just going to just move on from this.
It's over.
We gotta get Seth ready for Royal Rumble. We can't be having him doing no more of this shit. Get him away.
Yeah. I'm glad they ended it, and then of course they did like another match randomly where
Rich,
Ambrose did
remember
a
this
clean
one?
job for
Remember
him.
this one? After he won the Rumble, Slay the Beast.
Yeah, Slay the Beast. That's it. The beef is over. Oh, boy.
Unbelievable.
Boy.
I'm still I'm still mad that Roman and Seth, when Roman came back, didn't beat the piss out of Ambrose before like beat him gang initiate style and then let him and then forgive him after they beat the piss out of him. But that whole shit was like, I'm so glad you're back, Roman. He's like, I got a favor. Anything, man, anything. I need you to stop the shit with Ambrose. Nigga, what?
Yeah,
you want me to what?
Oh man.
Of all the stuff he said about you, what? Let's move on. I can go on forever about this Ambrose thing. This whole saga.
He was horrible.
That whole saga, just
horrible. Sorry, Sam. Like
Sam is gonna be mad because Sam's gonna be mad. Like, and as the time passed, more and more weeks went by, and this shit getting worse and worse and worse. You notice he stopped tweeting us about that shit less and less and less, right? Him and deal with this. This shit sucks. I'm sorry y'all didn't realize it as soon as we did, but this shit sucks.
Yeah. Up next, a duo that took the word "suck" to a whole new level.
Yes, they made this suck iconic.
Yes. The Iconics. My God. When you talk about cringe, when you talk about just possessing no skill, when you talk about horrible wrestling, when you talk about just being jabronis on every level, geeks with title belts at this point now, it don't get much worse than the Iconics. And I know we got people that listen that like the Iconics. I don't know why. I'm gonna just put it out there. I get that they're attractive. Y'all might dig them in that way, but look, that's not helping them promos. That's not helping the wrestling. That's not helping these segments. So, so what you really got? So, yeah, the Iconics were just like, I just saw them and they would come on the screen. And it seemed like the segment would never end, even though it was only a couple minutes long.
Yeah, man. Some of the cringiest, and I don't really use that word like that, but some of the worst stuff that makes you wince. Some of the stuff that it's played where there's supposed to be comedy heels, which. Think about that. Comedy heels, right? They're supposed to be comedy heels and they're doing comedy and it's not funny and it's supposed to make you groan, but you don't want to see them get beat up. You just want them away off you just want them to be whisked away and off your TV screen. And the sad thing is you look at some of their Twitter stuff and some of their YouTube backstage stuff for .com or whatever else, and they're actually legitimately charismatic and funny, left to their own devices. But this product is not built on people actually having their own charisma. They have to be, people that are reading scripts. So, me and you talked about this, the "you gotta be joking me" thing has carried over and has become a meme because it's actually legitimately funny.
Right.
They never did anything even anywhere approaching that sort of thing on screen. And you think about the way people talk about when they saw Breaking Ground, they saw Baron Corbin, or another perfect example is the Dasha bot, Dasha Fuentes.
Oh yeah, I miss Dasha.
Yeah. Anyway, when you see the interviewers and you see how much personality and people on this company that work on screen in this company, you see the kind of person they really have when they're not on camera. And the difference is so just astounding where people feel like it's almost like everyone's in black and white on TV, but then once they get away from Vince's scripting, all of a sudden, and Kevin Dunn and the writer scripting, all of a sudden, the color, and all of a sudden you see the reds, the blues, the purples, the fuchsias, what I'm saying? The magentas, the lavenders, all the pretty
gold.
Colors. Yeah. The turquoise, you see all these pretty colors and they come to life, and you're just wow, and these are people that ultimately suffer from it. Some people bummed, some of it is some of it is their own doing, a lot of it is their own booking. But like this stuff was like, especially the Iconics, like was the absolute zero of professional wrestling. And like if not for one brave soul who dared to be the shit worst, this dynamic duo would be the victor. But no, they will only come away with the silver medal of bums.
So, y'all already know what it is. James just called the Iconics the absolute zero of professional wrestling. Well, introducing the absolute -1 of professional wrestling.
No, we're gonna start having to call Corbin Sub-Zero out this bitch.
Sub-Zero.
He's below zero.
Yes, below zero. Yes. Fucking Sub-Zero himself. Baron Corbin, a man who was blamed for the ratings in reality and in storyline.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard no shit like that before, James.
Neither have I.
When you talk about sorry promos, completely void of charisma, completely inept as a wrestler, chin locks, rest holds, and people just wondering why the fuck you're here. Tall and white. That's what Baron Corbin is.
Pretty much. And like people talk about the amount of heat again. We talked about it earlier in the show. It's like he comes out when his music plays, nobody boos, nobody cheers, and then that's still the same for like that's also true for the Iconics. That's true for Bobby Lashley. That's true for McIntyre as well too. And like for some reason they decided to grab like those 5 individuals and make one a tag team and those 3 a faction without actually everything but a faction. They never had a name. They never actually came together and said, we are the fill in the blanks or whatever else. But they were together at 2 different points in the last 7 months, and they were the shits. Just constant heat and being down, baby faces like shit, like they don't have friends at points. I'm still waiting for Braun Strowman to get his title shot that he got fucked over from at Royal Rumble, but I guess that's never going to be a thing. And he's now a mid-carder officially because this company just loves to turn people that could be stars into mid-carders. Even their stars are mid-carders. So, so that's where we are. Yeah, just the worst. And we got to now watch him. You have to watch Seth try to do a carry job with him to try to get a good match out of him. So best of luck. I saw the match that they had at some point last year at the main event, and it was just a fine match. But like this dude's been around for over 5 years. Like I do this retro show, and he's been on the retro show already. So he's been. It means who knows when he's been on the PC. I think he got signed up like 2013-ish or something like that. Like he's
maybe
had matches
before that.
Maybe. I didn't want to over exaggerate it, so I said 13.
Right.
But like this is somebody that like he has tons of matches. Like it ain't he's green, he'll get better. Like bullshit. That dude has enough matches to where you know by now.
Right.
Especially in this era.
And he's failed upward every step of the way.
Yep.
And with all this talent, with the competition emerging now, I don't understand how he continues to ascend in his position. I don't get it. I've heard people try to say he's actually a heel. I'm like, well, then what the fuck is Sami Zayn?
Yeah. What is Sami Zayn? What is Daniel Bryan? What is Chris Jericho? What is MJF? Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, you can be a heel and be dislikable and still have a fucking pulse.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be bland as goddamn toast.
Boy. So, without further ado, Baron Corbin, you are the LeBron James, you bum, of forever.
To infinity and beyond.
Yeah. I think everybody knew where that was going. But Baron Corbin, holy shit. Yeah. So, on to our best wrestlers list. Starting here, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe literally lit other wrestlers on fire with his promos throughout this period. he was just so tough, and so he overachieved so much from beyond like what his role actually was. I really liked Joe. Showed me a lot in this thing, because Joe's not like, he's not the wrestler he once was, and he really didn't have to be anymore, because WWE doesn't really require you to. It's not a prerequisite for you to blow the doors off in ring wise, but when it came to just striking the fear of God in people, and then also just being the coldest motherfucker on the mic for different periods of time, Samoa Joe definitely had that in the bag.
Yeah. Whether it was threatening to fuck AJ Styles' wife, whether it was calling Jeff Hardy a fucking alcoholic, or whether it was beating the piss out of Ali for months on end, or whether it was saying to Rey Mysterio that he's gonna whoop in front of his son, like he's just the best. There's no reason why he should not have been a top champion over the last year, whether it was beating AJ in the summer or right now, honestly. So yeah, that's where I am on it. Like he was in spurts. He's as good as anyone in this company.
Up next, Andrade, perhaps the single best TV wrestler that has been happening in 2019. Of course, when they allow him to wrestle, there was a moment where I think he won Wrestler of the Week like at least 3 or 4 weeks in a row, if I'm not mistaken, to start the year. And he has been obviously not given the pay-per-view reps to really like stake claim to all this stuff, but this one was one I felt strongly about, because they asked him for, they don't really ask him to talk, but when they tell him to go wrestle, he goes and wrestles his ass off.
Yeah,
all the time. There was that report that it came out that said he wasn't really happy about whatever, and they were gonna start letting him do more. They let him do a little bit more, but there's still like a whole another level for this dude to get to. He could be the Mr. Money in the Bank right now. Of course, that didn't happen. He could be challenging for any belt on the roster right now and be believable in that spot. This dude's been incredible.
Yeah. If not for this run since WrestleMania, where they have Kofi like in a match for good length, like every single week seemingly, whether it was on SmackDown or Raw, like he would be the clear choice for TV wrestler of the year so far. Between the matches with Ray, between the matches with Finn Balor, it would be him. He had great little exchanges in the Royal Rumble. He was in it. Was he in the Elimination Chamber? I don't really remember.
No.
Okay, he was not. But like Money in the Bank, he was also awesome in that as well. And him and Finn Balor almost killed themselves. So like he's definitely somebody that by next year, when we get to 2019 observer list, you look at it for most underrated, he's probably gonna win.
Yeah.
And you could have said that last year when he was out here, we were talking about these matches with AJ and Daniel Bryan in the summer. He was killing it then too. So like the dude's nice. Like dude's undeniably nice. Like if you ask me who the best or the most skilled in-ring worker in all of WWE, NXT UK, 205 Live, Raw, SmackDown, I think it's him. I really do. I think he might be the most talented in-ring worker in the entire company.
Up next, Daniel Bryan. Now, of course, he turned heel during this thing. Freaked out.
Hold on. Also, the match he had with Ali last week on SmackDown was also incredible. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Like he does this.
Yep.
Ali does this. Ali. I'm sorry. Andrade does this.
I freaked out when Daniel Bryan turned heel to essentially save his career, because obviously he knew it wasn't going anywhere as a babyface.
Right.
And Daniel Bryan was like, "All right, I got something else for y'all." So he ended up taking the title off of AJ Styles. He was cutting lots of promos that were actually getting him booed, and I was just amazed that he was able to do this and defend the title a bunch. Had a bunch of good promos throughout, and he was Daniel Bryan, and I'm glad he's still here.
Yeah. If you go from Survivor Series on pay-per-view, from Survivor Series to WrestleMania, that is the kick, like a match of the year contender between him and AJ at TLC. At Royal Rumble, they had an okay match, but it was a match that the crowd lost interest in because it got one of those. It seems like now every pay per view we get is like one like high profile match that just does not work the way or get the crowd reaction it should because of crowd or card order or whatever else. At Elimination Chamber, we had what you have said is the greatest Elimination Chamber match of all time, which is high praise. And that was based around Kofi and Daniel Bryan's final fall. At Fastlane, you have a kick-ass and underrated match of the year contender for the main roster for match of the year between the three-way between Andrade, Bryan, and Owens, where they beat
Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ali. Yeah, Ali, Kofi, Kevin Owens, and Bryan, where they kicked the hell out of each other, and that finished it. He just murdered Ali. And then you have what is the main roster match of the year right now, which is Daniel Bryan versus Kofi in one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time, bar none, excluding nobody. That's the run he's been on for, was that 5 pay-per-view straight, something like that? Like,
and then
he's had one, like everything's been a banger except for one.
Yeah.
So, and the only reason why he didn't continue is because he had moved off because he probably, he had some type of injury that, may or may not have been a concussion. So, only thing stopping him is his health. And that dude is, people were concerned about the change or whatever else. And there were some real reasons to have concern about it. For a company that is so bad at making baby faces, they actually turned one of the few success stories they've had over the last decade for top baby faces and turned them heel. And it's not the same. It definitely isn't. But he's back wrestling at the level that he was at for big matches, where he was the best big match guy in the company years ago, and it's kind of reclaimed down on the main roster. So I'm glad to see it because after that retirement speech, I thought I'd never see Daniel Bryan wrestle again, and to see him back and he's just like kicking ass in these big shows again, it's like I'm happy.
Yep.
I never thought I'd get that again.
Then second place, Kofi Kingston, the WWE champion. This guy has taken an opportunity that he got in a gauntlet match and was like, you know what? I've been grinding my whole life. I am about to cash this shit in. And the crowd took to him. And it seems like the more the crowd just cheered Kofi, he absorbed it. And he just like let it really just like marinate inside of him, and he just started performing better and better and better and going through Vince McMahon. And then of course, I actually got moved to write a column about it, and he was, really telling multiple stories at once, at the same time, with his ascent to the WWE Championship, that almost anyone could like find themselves in that story. And I think he has been phenomenal since he's been the WWE champion. And quite honestly, as Ziggler said, he is one of the best WWE champions in recent memory already. Yeah. So, what did you think about Kofi, James?
Yeah, I think that since that first the first gauntlet match. So I believe that is like February 12th. So since February 12th, so we are now in, it's about to be June soon. So, yeah, we're talking about, how many months is that? from was
like
it
3 months, almost 4 months.
Yeah. So for a span of almost 4 months or 3.5 months, Kofi Kingston has been the best pushed or the most successful act in the entire company, from a push standpoint, from a creative standpoint, from a crowd reaction standpoint. He has been, honestly, since WrestleMania, if not a saving grace, the lone saving grace of this entire operation that works on primetime cable since WrestleMania. So I don't know where the hell they would be without him. From a creative standpoint, from a reason to tune in and watch, but from the big Kevin Owens run for a week or two, to the heel turn, to him being the fighting champion you can ever damn well find, to his run through all the hoops in proverbial brass that Vince made him run through for reasons we still don't know, other than the subtext of look at him, look at the history of this company. It's been a great run. It was a hell of a climb to get there, that had people on eggshells because of the way this company has been ran. In this run that we have also covered, that have no faith in them actually pulling the trigger and following through with a Becky Lynch, with a Seth Rollins, with a Kofi Kingston, to where all three of them did pulled it off, or not all three pulled it, but where Vince pulled the trigger on all three of them. We had one of the more feel-good moments in recent memory, especially around WrestleMania. In Becky's had to find new ground because she's on Raw, and the Raw Women's roster is just bombed out and depleted. And Seth had that kick-ass match with AJ, but it wasn't, the feud was not there, was not on point. The match was fire, but no. Kofi has had the juice from, we put him in matches, he delivers in matches, we put him on pay-per-view, he has good-ass pay-per-view match, and that's really all I want out of wrestling, is we have a direction with somebody, we book them strong to make you care about him. He's a babyface that doesn't do unbabyface things. He stands on his own too. He cares about people that he's around. Where there's Xavier getting laid out, he makes saves for him, or whatever else. And he's a family man with what happened at WrestleMania and his kids and everything. And I said this to you after he won the WrestleMania match. When he had his kids, his wife in the ring with him in the championship celebration, and we got we saved the fucking WWE title, saved the belt. We bring out the new belt, or the old belt, and got rid of the weed belt. And I was this dude is this white meat baby face that everyone respects and loves, and it's happy to see him, reach the mountaintop. And this dude is our generation Steamboat. And I stand now, seeing where we are now, I stand even more behind it. I don't know if it's 5, 10, 15 years from now, there will be people that look like we're doing the show, and it's the end of it, or for on this podcast network. But 5, 10 years, 15 years from now, there will be people that look like me or you, and they will be saying that this was inspiration that made them want to do this shit, and there's power in that.
Yeah.
And we're not doing this shit anymore because Vince is making us lose our goddamn mind and whatever else to review this every single week. But if we're going to give him credit for anything, it will be this. I almost want to say magical run of the last 4 months with Kofi. It's been excellent.
Yeah. Well said. But number one, if you're talking about this last 4 months, I wouldn't put her number one, but we were doing the show before those 4 months, and
a lot of his circumstances are beyond her control.
Yeah, so there was always a feud that was set in stone that had to go a certain way, but we know who the star was. We knew who had the juice at a certain point. We know what it should have been. We have it in the archives. The day it happened, the day after the Royal Rumble. It should have been Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. Becky Lynch, from the 10 weeks between SummerSlam and Evolution, locked herself into the WrestleMania main event and was the hottest star in the business. And they fought against it. They wanted her to be a heel. Don't ever let anyone try to tell y'all differently. Don't ever let them try to lie and say that, you know, they made this all happen. No, because the people took to Becky Lynch. The people.
Real quick, and also anyone that wants to try to, you know, reshape the narrative, there's always where you can go hear Edge talk about that segment at Raw 1000 where he says the idea was specifically to get her booed. Yeah. So anyone wants to tell you that shit about like that was all the plan along? No, they're bullshitting.
Yep. She was it. She from invading Raw to beat Ronda Rousey's ass with the bloody nose and everything like that, to beating Charlotte's ass at literally every moment, being the Jump Zone 2.0, to all the promos that just, she literally was like a human fireball. She, like, you know how I said, I said Jon Moxley's about to take his career back? Mm-hmm. Becky Lynch took her fucking career back, like, last year, like, and got a WrestleMania main event out of it, got a fucking win, unified the belts out of it, you know, and she did it. They'll never take it away from her. She was the first. She will always be the first, and it's crazy how it happened, honestly.
Yeah, there's a promo that she did right after, or 2 nights after SummerSlam, where she beat the piss out of Charlotte and slapped her because Charlotte rolled her up, or not rolled her up, hit her with her finish when she had the match won. And she came out, and this promo was the promo where she tried to shit on the crowd, and the crowd completely rejected her shitting on the crowd. And but the promo was so good that it stuck with me. That she said that like she had always been called Charlotte's. She said that she always wanted to prove the doubters wrong. She had fought for a shot, and this is her chance. This is her turn to be champion. This is her chance to prove that she was more than just Charlotte Flair's friend. She said that she would she envisioned herself holding that title above her head, saying that she is a top star. Saying that she is a champion. She's her own woman. She's a top star, and that she put the SmackDown Live Women's Division back on the map. And it always stuck with me. And it's crazy that she did that promo saying how Charlotte stole that moment from her. So she said that once Charlotte stole that moment from her, she really decided that she was going to lift Charlotte's arm up and then rip her head off. And then and then she goes on to say the stuff about the crowd not really behind her, and the crowd is literally trying to like talk sense in her. It's like, I know you guys are cheering, but were you really behind me? And the crowd was like, yes, we were behind you. Yes, you can hear it. So, but the main takeaway from that stuff, her saying like all that stuff eventually became a reality. She did become her own woman. She became her own woman. Becoming her own woman, she became the man. And she did win the title the very next pay-per-view by pinning Charlotte clean as a sheet in the middle of the ring. And she did put that division on the map. Like, it was literally that whole division for so long, like until the brand split. It was literally 4 women. It was Naomi, it was Asuka, it was Charlotte, and it was Becky, and a whole bunch of scraps and things, people that had like, 1 or 2 tools, but like stuff that's not ready for TV. And because of Charlotte and Becky, and ultimately the story being that Becky was just hell bent on winning that title and protecting that title and keeping that title, that friendships be damned, and that just set off and carried SmackDown into the next year. Charlotte and Becky became such a big thing that it ended up getting Ronda hot because Becky ends up making some knocks at Ronda in November after Evolution. Ends up getting Asuka hot because Asuka, after Becky ended up getting hurt, people were cheering for Asuka to be in that match against Ronda because the crowd was so into Becky they didn't want to see Charlotte. It didn't work out. They did the Charlotte thing, and then they go to TLC, and the whole thing is Asuka is she is the independent candidate. She's the third choice, right? Nobody wants to see Charlotte win this title because they are so into this Becky thing, or not. The people that aren't crazy.
Yeah.
Not the non-crazy.
The fucking loons out there.
Yeah.
Let me say
the ones that don't want to. The people aren't denial. The people that aren't like the heat denialists. Like people don't like that. Think that anything Vince Pilates draws was hot in these streets. And then that feud leads into Asuka having really what is the biggest, most important feud of her entire main roster run. That whole run from December into Royal Rumble, where she ends up picking the biggest run of her career by tapping out Becky Lynch, who had not lost a single match since she got pinned at SummerSlam. At SummerSlam. And then we get to Royal Rumble, and she has, she has a good ass match with Asuka. She puts her over. She comes in, she wins the Rumble. The crowd loses its mind. It's probably the best celebration of a Rumble win in God knows how long. Then the next night, and I know I skipped over the night when Becky was officially like the top star in the company, the bloody nose and everything, but you covered that. But
look, y'all know what it is.
But when she went face to face with Ronda and Charlotte, and then she said, "Look, it was always you, ever since November, and I'm here now, and it's gonna happen." And then Ronda responds with what was probably her best moments on the mic. She says, "Like, I'm tired of these fucking people, and I'm tired of you pretending like I couldn't just kill you with my bare hands without breaking a sweat." And you just in that moment, just like, holy shit! Like, I don't think I wanted to watch a WWE match or a wrestling match this badly, and I don't know how long. And that was the match. After that, you know what happened after that. If you go through and you listen to this show at any point in time between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, you've heard me lose my mind. I actually went back and listened to when the week where they actually Vince actually installed Charlotte into it, and I take off for probably like 5, somewhere maybe close to 10 minutes just by myself. So yeah, I remember saying at the time, like, look, you fuck this. I don't have no faith in you fixing it. Because I saw what you did with Braun Strowman in his title shot, and I remember you a few weeks ago or in December saying we're not going to fuck with people anymore, and then you immediately fuck him, and then there's no repercussions. So don't give me this bullshit about you're going to fix this feud. You're going to have Becky, beat the hell out of Vince or whatever else. None of that happened. I had no faith that it happened. It didn't happen. But I said I want to see the match, and we got the match. It wasn't because I thought it was going to be, but Becky is still a star. She comes out. She gets cheered. Hell, the biggest reaction we got on Monday Night Raw on that sad ass show was Becky getting that hot tag. So, she's cemented. She's going to be a star for a long time, or maybe that's forever. But we saw that rise from catering to that. So, for me, she deserves, for this time period, if you want to call it, wrestler of the year or wrestler of One Nation Radio, whatever you want to call it, she's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Becky Lynch and Baron Corbin are our two winners here. And I would say Kofi's like flanking Becky like pretty close.
Yeah,
but
he caught it close. But I also, one thing, like we mentioned that, like I mentioned the moment that Kofi had at WrestleMania and how great it was. The best match of this time frame of us covering this show is still Last Woman Standing Evolution between Becky and Charlotte. So when Becky powerbombed Charlotte's ass off the apron through that table, that was one for all time, one for the record books. So like she also had her classic too.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess the other question, James, why'd you always say sorry, Chad?
Oh yeah. So, me and Rich, one of the inspirations for this show and pretty much anything we do on the audio medium is Bomani Jones's radio shows in the past, whether it was the Evening Jones on ESPN Radio or was the Morning Jones on
Score? Was it
on Score? Yeah, Score Score on set on Sirius FM or whatever, or Sirius Radio, whatever, satellite radio. So I remember one time Belmonte was talking about how when he first got the guest duty on Around the Horn, how he said that his thought process when he first did it was he's going to do it the way he was going to do it with no regrets and do it as if like they'll never call him back. So if he does it like no one's going to ever call him back to do it again, then he can say I did it my way, and I let the chips fall where they may after that, right? But I got to be unapologetically me. And when we got this review show, and when we started doing podcasts years ago, it was always like, we're going to be ourselves, and if you rock with it, that's cool. If you disagree, that's cool. Whatever else, like, it's all up. The whole thing is like, there's no point in being disingenuous about ours. So, when we end up getting this review show, I took that with me. The Bomani thing of doing this if no one's gonna call me back or call us back to do it or whatever else, or they may take the show away. Because honesty is like the best policy, I guess, lame way of saying it or whatever else. But so I always say at the end of the show, sorry, Chad, as if like we said something that Chad has to take us off, or they had to take us off the air, and I just let them know, like, if it wasn't good, if it was something that we crossed the line on, then I'm apologizing to Chad who stuck his neck out for us for this opportunity ahead of time, so he already knows. So that's why it's always been at the end of the show, sorry, Chad.
Yeah. So I guess that brings us to the end of the line. I just want to shout out and thank everybody at Lords of Pain Radio for giving us the opportunity to put a show on the feed to succeed Stephen Bell from the Late Shift, who covered Raw and SmackDown, and we just tried to step in and put our flavor on it, much as James, kind of like James said, like, we wanted to do it our way, and no one, to their credit, like, told us like, hey, y'all going a little too hard with it, or you guys taking it a little too far. Like, we pretty much got to run it how we wanted. So and thank everybody for listening. As I mentioned, a lot of you guys have reached out and said you guys enjoy the show. I hope you will travel with us over to our home, the Social Suplex Podcast Network. This was like always like our second show that we did, but in a lot of ways it was like, this is where we would really get passionate and really unload about what's really going on in the wrestling business right now, or in WWE specifically, because we kind of talk more about everything else over on our other show. But thanks to my fellow writers on Lords of Pain, and it's gonna be different not doing the show. We've done like, what is it, like 40 something of these?
40 something of them,
yeah. This was a project in itself. As I mentioned, I felt like we got to cover a time period in WWE that, when they look back in a couple years or whatever, it'll be like, something happened here, and we've got audio for essentially SummerSlam 2018 through June of the following year, and the landscape of pro wrestling is about to change. So I was happy to do it. Thank you to James for doing this every week with me. And it's just like, I wouldn't want to do the show with anyone else, like, on a consistent basis. So, anything to add, James, before we shut this bitch down?
No. I think I said my piece, and it's weird now that it's over, but I I guess this is it, right? So it is what it was. It was fun.
Yep.
If the shows weren't fun, at least, I hope that for those that are listening, I hope that you guys felt that like we for whatever the shows lacked when y'all watched them, whatever our reviews kind of like, filled that void or bridged that gap as far as what you were trying to get out of some type of fun for, an hour or whatever else, however long it takes, depending on how fast you listen to this, whatever rate of speed you listen to this show on. So I know one of the great it was almost like cathartic at some points, like to be able to unleash on these shows, almost like in almost in real time, like immediately, like visceral reaction after the shows end, so I can kind of like get that off my chest before like we get to later, times. And don't get me wrong, like while I go on some of these rants, lose my mind, and or Rich does the same. Like it's so fun to like to just like to get that off of your chest. It's like, yo, like I invested 5 hours a week into this fucking company. And they had the unmitigated gall. I'm not sure my Stephen A. Smith voice, but the unmitigated gall, the temerity, how to do X, Y, or Z. How dare you? So I'm glad that anybody else listed this also got that joy, going through it. So I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. We up out of here, and vote with us.
Sorry, Chad.
Peace.